What is up, guys? Welcome to the 23rd episode of the Trackside Girls podcast. Nope.
Ew.
There you go.
It'll go eventually.
But, we are back at it again. As always, we got NASCAR first. Let's see. Let's pull up the events of the weekend. They were at Pocono, and
Not gonna lie, I only watched the truck race because I was hanging out with my cousin on Saturday and Sunday, so I didn't watch either race. And then I tried to watch the cup race, and then I fell asleep watching it. So I know nothing. I know the truck race, that's about it.
well, let's start. Let's start with the truck race. Oh my gosh, hold on, all my wires are tangled. Practice started late due to rain. You had Lane Riggs spin 5 minutes into practice, and he ends up hitting the inside wall on the straight between turns 1 and 2. You have Brian Dozot? I hope that's how you say his name. He also spins in turn 1, making slight contact to the inside wall in the exit of turn 1. And then Grant Enfinger slows between turns 1 and 2, stopping on the track at end of practice. And they knew that they had to be delayed for practice, but qualifying actually ended up getting canceled due to rain. But it was Lane Riggs had to go to a backup truck, and then Brian Dozot, I think hopefully that's how you say his name, and Justin Carroll had to go to the rear for unapproved adjustments. But with qualifying canceled, it was Christian Eckes that got pole. And
My boy.
And so they start the race. It was Christian and Corey Heim fighting up at the front.
Per usual.
It was, I feel like these stages in their race were very, very short. Corey Heim wins stage 1, and there was only 16 laps. So very quick, but Pocono is a fairly big racetrack. It doesn't really feel like it because we always said it's got 3 turns, but the straights are ridiculously long. On to the second stage, second stage, there were no cautions for cause, and it was Corey Heim to sweep the stages. Into the final stage, Raja actually spun. So this was the first caution for cause on lap 45 when Raja made contact with Connor Mozak. And so they get to lap 62, and they bring out the red flag. They're very close to the end. There was only 70 laps in this race, so they only had 8 laps whenever they brought the trucks down pit road, and so it sprinkled for a little bit, and then it went away. So they dried the track, and they were able to get the trucks back out there, and they were running caution laps, so they did count, which made the count go down to 6 laps until the end before they brought them back in, due to the rain restarting again. But they brought them back on track at lap 64, and it ends up being Corey Heim that wins the race. So I don't believe he led every lap, obviously, because Christian Eckes at least had to lead the first lap. Um, but it was a full sweep, both stages and the win for Corey Heim.
I went back to back on truck wins.
Oh yeah, yep. With your picks of the week, um, this makes Corey Heim's fifth win on the season. And
Mhm.
so he did the little gesture counting one to five and then Heim time. He literally needs to start. He needs to copyright that, like trademark it, and start making merch off of it. Like,
Well, he has his Time Time shirt
Mm-hmm.
on his website.
okay, so he does already have stuff on it.
He has his time. He already has his Time one. They made it the first time that he won. They made this Time shirt.
Okay.
So they do
Alrighty.
have that.
On to Xfinity. Jesse Love, Josh Berry, Taylor Gray, Ryan Truex went to the rear for adjustments. Um, Brennan Poole to the rear for inspection failure and had to do a pass through penalty um, after taking the green flag. Um, so I don't even think they make it an entire lap. If I'm being honest, whenever they start this race, but it was Sheldon Creed um, who got pole over Brandon Jones. But they the caution comes out on lap two, and it was Dawson Cram spinning in turn one, and he was in the 74 car. Unfortunately, they finally qualify into a race, and and this happens. Um, but they get back going, and it is Justin Allgaier that wins stage one. Um, and they throw another caution at lap 28 for debris on track. Um, and it is Cole Custer who wins stage two. The restart. I feel like restarts are always crazy. Pocono is no exception. You get like five wide trying to go down into turn one. And it was Parker Retzloff who got loose in turn one, goes up the track, collecting Ryan Ellis, Leland Honeyman Jr., Brennan Poole, and taking all the cars up the track into the outside wall. So the caution is thrown for that. They do green flag pit stops, but on lap 68 they have to throw another caution because Steven Malazzi is stopped off track in turn two. Then they run it back, restart again. You got lap 76. Jeremy Clements puts it three wide going into turn two, which is the tunnel turn, so there are bumps there. It is very easy to spin yourself out. But he takes it three wide, spins, and collects Mason Massey. And you got on lap 83, Shane Van Gisbergen spins from 10th after Sam Mayer gets into the back of him. At first, I did not see the contact that Sam did that. I just thought that Shane was struggling with the ovals again, like he has been. But the truth is, Sam, I don't know how it happened. I don't know if he like SVG slowed up or Sam just like ran right into the back of him or what. But our boy might be a little mad at SVG. I don't know where their beef started, but something seems to be brewing.
What are you talking about? I don't know where a lot of people's beef starts. I feel like no. I feel like a lot of this year, there's a lot of beef in Xfinity. There's definitely a lot of beef in Cup. Like everybody hates each other in Cup. Like I feel like there's a lot more beef this year than there was last year. I feel like last year there wasn't a whole lot, but this year it's definitely a lot more.
Fair.
That's how it goes, I think.
So they get back going on the restart. Shane actually spins again in turns two, but keeps going. Um, but Cole Custer takes the white flag as leader. And it is Cole Custer to win, and he is the first Ford to win in the Xfinity Series in 2024.
Let's go. None of us
Unfortunately,
none
none
of
of
us
us
picked
picked
Cole.
Cole. None of us picked Cole. Unfortunately.
Which I almost thought about it, and then I was like, I don't know, because like Cole struggled this year, so I'm like, I don't know. Oh well, at least the Ford one, freaking finally.
True. Alrighty, on to the Cup race. Um, During speed check, in Sector 7, um, which is like on pit road. Pit road split up into like different sections, and so they had a lot of drivers get caught speeding in that little section because it's shorter than the rest of them. But it's since it's a smaller part of the section, I guess it just like I don't know how it works. Like I don't know if it still measures it the same as the others, even though it's not the same like length. I don't know. It's strange, but a lot of people got caught for speeding on pit road in that specific section, and it's just after the start finish line on pit road. Um, but Corey LaJoy had to have a suspension repair, and Kyle Busch actually, while on the grid prior to the race, they had to bring Kyle Busch's car back to the garage, and because they discovered an oil leak. So they had to replace the oil line, and had to start in the rear for unapproved adjustments. But they did get him out there before the race started. In practice, Kyle Larson clipped the apron in turn two and spins. He did not make any contact. Same with Tyler Reddick, spins and does not make contact exiting turn one. Um, but for qualifying, it was Ty Gibbs to get his second career pole. Um,
Oh boy.
so he leads the field to green right beside William Byron in second. And it is lap 14 when the first caution for cause comes out with Noah Gragson. Unfortunately, that does end his race for Noah. And so they go green all the way until the end of stage one, where Martin Truex wins stage one. It is lap 53 when Ross Chastain is slow on track and brings out a caution. But when they go back to green and stay green until the end of stage two, where Denny Hamlin wins that stage. Lap 115, you have Todd Gilliland get into the wall from 25th in turn one after a mechanical failure on the right front that happened on the front stretch. So the restart gets a little dicey on this one. Okay, so they restart. Ryan Blaney's in the lead. You have Denny Hamlin in second, but Kyle Busch is in 16th, blocks Corey LaJoy and gets clipped, and goes spinning in turn one, goes through the grass up the track, and collects multiple cars of Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger, Harrison Burton, Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse, and Carson Hocevar. There was a lot of beef behind this one. Corey doesn't see an issue with what he did. Um, mhm. but but yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Um,
So Carson actually spun himself out to avoid all that. So he
yes.
didn't.
So he actually caught himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anybody really noticed it, like as it was happening, but he kind of like drifted on the apron,
Mm-hmm.
like through the grass, and
So,
saved it.
so the funny thing is, when I like rewatched it because I went back to go watch it, I noticed I noticed Carson's car immediately. I was like, "What did he do?" And then I was like, "I know what he just did. I know he was trying to avoid it."
He
So
was he was
he
to-
he did he did his own little thing there.
he was Tokyo drifting.
Yeah, he was. Not gonna lie, it was a nice save by him. It was a nice one. It was a nice one.
So they have to rack him back up, restart it. Still, Ryan Blaney leading, Danny Hamlin second. This time, it's Michael McDowell, Zane Smith, and John Hunter Nemechek go 3 wide into turn one. Jane, Zane and John Hunter get together, and both cars hit pretty hard in the inside wall. So they have to re-rack them again. This time, Ty Gibbs, his engine blows up. Engine failure. So they have to throw their caution for the fluid on the track that was coming from Ty Gibbs's car. So again, re-rack them. Still, Ryan Blaney on the inside. Ryan Blaney leads on the outside. Alex Bowman on the front row this time.
Alex boy.
Then Ryan Blaney keeps his lead over Alex Bowman. Ryan Blaney stays in the lead, takes the white flag as leader, and ends up winning the race. So Ryan Blaney wins at Pocono, which is actually the place that he got his first ever Cup win. So full circle once again, which I think has Ryan never won here before, like since his.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Not ever.
And it was his. They said it was his 12th win.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep.
12th career win.
Oh, props to Alex for finishing third because he literally had his right front tire went down, and he held on to third.
Ayo.
His tire literally went down, and both Blake and Kevin told him to go around the track and make it all the way around, and Alex did. So props to him for finishing third with a freaking tire down. By the way, that's a fun fact. Because gotta love Alex.
Yeah, I think Blaney just needs to keep having like family members come to all those races because at Iowa he had all of his
I
like
know.
mom
Literally, Iowa, it was his
and
entire like mom side of the family, and then Pocono, it was Gianna's entire family that came, and he won. I think the key for Ryan Blaney is to have family members around in order for him to win. Sounds like the theme here.
All right. Did we talk about Bubba Wallace's fine?
I don't know.
I can't remember if it came out before or after we filmed.
it came out I think it came out Wednesday.
It came out after we filmed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Bubba Wallace actually got fined $50,000 whenever he door slammed Alex Bowman at Chicago. So
But Bubba said I saw a little interview. Bubba said it was an eye opener for him.
I,
Yeah. getting that fine was an eye opener for him.
Didn't I see? Did you guys see? I'm pretty sure he said that it was like the best thing to ever happen to him or something.
Yeah, that's what I was like an eye opener. That's what he's pretty much talking about.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, but Bubba's dumb. What? Why? Like, what? Yeah. What did he think was like? What did he think was gonna happen? That he wasn't gonna get a fine?
They literally have the no retaliation thing.
And also the fact that not only was Alex's window net down, so was Bubba's. So if somebody would have seriously gotten hurt,
And their belts were on clip too. Their belts were loosened.
Yeah. So like
exactly.
it's a major
I
safety hazard.
I can't.
But
I don't know.
and it is confirmed that Noah Gragson is going to Front Row Motorsports next
I,
season with
I
Todd
kind of like
Gilliland.
cried a little bit, even though I knew what happened. Oh my god.
Um, let's see. So JD Motorsports has a lot of stuff going on with it. Really, it started with the tire guy on their team who also made social media posts for them. Made a joke about one of the races, including the Hawk Tua girl. Um, and he got his permissions taken away um, to post on social media for their team, and it kind of spiraled from there. So Pocono, they had JD Motorsports had to withdraw the number 6 from the Xfinity race, um, which made the 74 make it into the race because there was nobody, um, like all 38 spots were able to get in. Still, okay, hold on. Connor Daly is going to be racing at Indy in the 26 car for Sam Hunt Racing. Um, I guess kind of still technically Xfinity. She was an Xfinity driver. But Haley Deegan was sniffing around Iowa this past weekend. Possibly around the Indy Next series or INDYCAR. She definitely did in an INDYCAR ride along. That I did see. Um, you had a lot of the flights in Charlotte be grounded, and it took them a hot minute to get to Pocono. Um, let's see. During the red flag at the truck race, Daniel Dye and Zane Smith had a conversation. Um, Michael Waltrip made a comment on the truck broadcast that Corey Heim will be racing on Sundays. Um, so we don't know if like he misspoke or if he's just like saying a premonition like oh he will be racing on Sundays eventually or
Well,
he
we love when people leak each other's business online, or giving an interview. We love it. The greatest thing ever. Happens. Tends to happen a lot if people are mad at each other. They just don't really care.
but you had Chandler Smith and not very happy with Sam Mayer at Pocono.
What even happened with that?
I
All I saw, I literally only saw the video where like Chandler literally went and grabbed Sam by his fire suit while he was still in the car.
Yes, there actually is video footage of that.
I saw Chandler's like reasoning why he was mad, and that pretty much was like because he like doored him a few times. I think that's pretty much why.
Get over it. Rubbing is
You know,
nice.
also, how about the fact that Chandler Smith has no problem literally door slamming other people either? Honestly, they gotta do what they gotta do at this point. So, to be
I,
fair.
I think that's what his reasoning was.
Okay, well, that's a stupid reasoning because everybody door slams each other and it's fine.
But there's a rumor going around that Haley Deegan has already done a seat fitting with Andretti Autosport. See, Haley Deegan will be partnered with All-Star driver Ken Schrader in Team SLR M1 race cars entry for this weekend's Speed Tour All-Star race at Lime Rock Park. Johnny Sauter will drive for Hattori Racing Enterprises in the number 16 truck on Friday at Indianapolis Raceway Park. So back to JD Motorsports. There is a lot of sources saying that JD Motorsports laid off a large portion of its employees this morning, and the team is potentially filed for bankruptcy back in April. So we'll have to see how that goes. So Alpha Prime acquired the number 4 owners points, and they will be used for the number 45 heading into Indy. So with that, the 45 moved to 36th in owner standing points, or owner standings. Future race entries for the team's third car will be announced at a later date.
Unless they give Corey LaJoy unless they give him a fine or suspend him for one race.
We'll see.
I do think NASCAR should look into that because one, his radio doesn't help him, and his in-car camera does not help him with that situation.
You know, if NASCAR didn't give him anything, if NASCAR didn't fine him or suspend him, then that looks terrible on NASCAR's part, considering that they fined Bubba for door slamming into Alex.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And especially since over the radio, Corey LaJoy's entire team pretty much said he deserved that one. So if NASCAR didn't do anything, I can tell you there ain't going to be very happy NASCAR fans with that one.
Because
there already isn't.
This was over LaJoy's radio. They said he hooked himself. F him. We ain't worried about him. That was over his radio.
Mm-hmm.
His in-car camera looks terrible though.
Oh yeah.
It looks bad.
Because you see, because Kyle Busch just goes, Kyle Busch never comes back down. Corley just clearly comes up and hooks him.
I mean, my favorite is when they literally interviewed Kyle and he was like, "No comment."
Mm-hmm. It's like one of those classic Kyle's, just like,
yeah.
Just over there.
That and Kyle knows exactly what Corey did to him, so he wasn't gonna say anything about it because everybody could see it.
They asked him if he's gonna talk to Corey after. He's like, no. Ain't no reason. Ain't no.
I mean, why should he? It'll probably just break out into a fight, and it'll probably just be Corey yelling at Kyle like, you did that to yourself." So.
I mean, also, this is the 4th D in the last 6 races for Kyle Busch.
What I'm trying to figure out is how in the world does Corey LaJoy have a seat in a Cup car? He has not won in any of the top 3 series. He has not won since he's been in ARCA.
And also, next year he's getting Ronnie Childress as his crew chief.
Like, huh?
which personally, I don't really care for Corey LaJoy. One, every time that I've met him, he has been so rude.
Like,
So rude.
I will see. Like, I like Corey. Like, he's chill most of the times. Like every time I met him, but like,
Hasn't been with me. He's been so rude every single time.
but like on the track, like if you take away the times like him not in the car, if you just focus on Corey LaJoy in the car, how was he got a cup ride?
So this piece right here came off of Corey's car. And this was at Martinsville, and I made him sign it because he came off of his car. He tried to tell me it didn't come off of his car, it came off Justin Allgaier's car. And I was like, it came off of your car at Talladega. And he was like, no, it didn't. Got annoyed, ripped it out of my hand, signed it, and then walked away. He was like, this didn't come off of my car. And I was like, yeah, it did.
Mm.
Molly watched it happen and she was like, what the heck? I'm like, yeah.
I kind of thought this was a little funny. This is a Bubba's radio after Blaney won the race. He was like,
Oh,
oh god, let me stay 10 feet away from him. Think they'd find me if I door slammed him? And they was like, probably.
that
His
was
spotter.
that. Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was.
But on to IndyCar. Read through this stuff first. So news is that IndyCar, Hy-Vee, and Iowa Speedway have struck a new multi-year deal to keep the race weekend on the schedule into 2025 and beyond, but it is not confirmed if it's going to be a double header past this year or not. But let's see, there are two IndyCar teams that said they've been contacted and spoken with the representative for Logan Sargent. And both teams said the same thing, that the Williams driver is interested in IndyCar or sports cars and wants to be paid to drive. So it's not
Let him drive.
it's not looking good for him in F1. So I feel like the next best thing for him would be IndyCar. But several IndyCar teams have expressed interest in signing Valtteri Bottas for 2025. But it is believed that Bottas's preference is to stay in Formula One next season. There were two 9-position starting grid penalties for the number 4 Chip Ganassi car and the number 15 Rahal Letterman Lanigan car for the Indy race this past weekend. During practice, you had a big accident for Marcus Ericsson. It was Scott McLaughlin that got the pole for Sunday's Iowa race, and then Colton Herta that got pole for Saturday's Iowa race. There were a couple issues. So Jack Harvey has been in severe pain with his neck and back. And they were going to get Connor Daly into the car to race for Saturday's race, but IndyCar did not clear him to race because he needed to race a specific, or like run at least a session for them to clear him to race. So he was unable to do Saturday's race, and Jack Harvey started the race, and he lasted, I think, about 14 laps, I think. But he lasted a lot longer than he probably should have, especially if he was in that immense pain. I probably would have been out as soon as possible, but he had to at least start the race to get the points and to not technically miss a race. But yes, Colin Daly was on standby. A couple things in race 1. There was a lap 1 crash with David Malukas, Roman Grosjean, and I can't remember his first name, Canapino. But David Malukas got loose and spun, which collected the other 2. There was a penalty for Santino Ferrucci for being out of line on the restarts. A caution for Graham Rahal. He was slow on track, and I believe they said some of the wheel spokes were cracked on his car. Will Power had to do a pass-through penalty for speeding, I believe, on pit road. Alex Palou crashed out at lap 177. You had Ed Carpenter and Petro Fittipaldi wreck, and Will Power had damage under caution caused by a drift. Oh, the caution was caused by a drift save by Colton Herta. So kind of similar situation of how Carson saved his. Colton Herta did basically the same thing in INDYCAR. But it was Scott McLaughlin that won Saturday's INDYCAR race. That
was my pick.
Yes, which actually, Molly, didn't you get both INDYCAR races?
Well, no.
Or Lakota got the other one. No. Oh no, you guys picked all the Penske ones in the first race. Oh, that's unfortunate.
I was like, technically mine's right, but it's for the first race.
Yeah. But the really scariest thing that happened in the second Iowa race on Sunday was actually happened after the checkered flag. A lot of the cars were close on fuel, one of those being Alexander Rossi. And it was Stingray Rob. He didn't notice soon enough that Alexander Rossi was slowing up on track, and he runs into the back of Rossi. Stingray Rob runs into the back of Rossi, goes up over the car, it launches him into the air, full into the air, and he flips and slides across the track upside down. So very scary wreck. For a little further back a car, I think 1 or 2 cars back, you had Kyle Kirkwood notice this in front of him and kind of overcorrect while that was happening, and spun himself out, which also collected who else was it? Oh gosh, who else? It was a blue car. I can't remember exactly. I can't remember the 4th person that was in it. But luckily, Stingray Rob was awake. He did have to be put on a stretcher and into an ambulance, and then he was airlifted to a local hospital for extra imaging just as a precaution. But he did give a thumbs up before he went into the ambulance, which is really all you can do in a moment like that, to like let your family, friends, anybody who knows you's watching, like that's about the most you can do. You can't contact anybody in that moment. But let's see. You had Connor Daly and Joseph Newgarden at the Post Malone concert over the weekend. So here's the official statement from AJ Foyt Racing on Stingray Rob. Let's see. He was released, which actually I think he got released the day of. So, but yes, luckily he was able to walk away from the incident. And yeah, so for the second race, the winner was Will Power, who fought off Alex Palou, and coming up third, it was Scotty Mack, right? Yes. Or was it Joseph? Who? Oh, Joseph. No, Joseph was on the podium the first race. But it was, so all of Penske was on the podium this weekend at Iowa, as well as they're racing in Brazil, and in IMSA / World Endurance. They got a really, really great result as well. So this past weekend was also the Goodwood Festival of Speed. And so there was a lot of, basically the entire Red Bull roster showed up. You had Hamda, which is the F1 Academy driver for Red Bull. And then Daniel, Checo, Max, David Coulthard, Mark Webber, Christian Horner, Adrian Newey was actually driving the brand new hypercar that Red Bull has officially, I think, finished. And something that kind of hurt at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, there was a crash. A $2.3 million Lotus hypercar crashed right off the start line. And you also had Alex Albon, Yuki Tsunoda, Logan Sargent, even James Vowles jumped into a car for the Festival of Speed. If you guys want to go back and watch that, that's like, I watched it a little bit last year. McLaren was there and did their thing. But it is a gorgeous array of cars, like, and it's a whole bunch of history. So if you are really big into cars, I would very much suggest watching that and seeing all the people that come and show off their pieces, like even a Richard Petty, one of the original like 43 blue cars that he ran back then, actually was there. And yeah, it's you had a lot of the drivers for Formula One at Wimbledon. Or at least two of them, Lando Norris and George Russell. And then also I think it's Euro Cup was this past weekend. And so obviously a lot of the drivers, they pull for the different teams and stuff like that. And you had Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly with their girlfriends at the Eras Tour, as in Taylor Swift. Charles Leclerc.
Not gonna lie, super jealous on that one.
Yeah. Alexandra's dress, absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's hand beaded. It's insane. but Charles Leclerc had friendship bracelets up to his elbows.
Literally.
So,
Yes.
and then actually Pierre and Kika got a new puppy. So there is another dog in the paddock, along with Roscoe and Leo. So now we move on to this weekend. This weekend so NASCAR, they're both in Indianapolis, but Trucks is at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. I think that's how what they call it. Which is like kind of like right outside of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But INDYCAR and Cup, or not INDYCAR, Xfinity and Cup are going back to the oval. So they're not running the road course this year. But they're going to be at Indy. You have let's see, INDYCAR is going to be in Toronto, Canada, which I want to say that's a street race that they run. And then you have the Hungaro Ring this weekend at Budapest for Formula One. So let's start with the truck series. You guys probably already have them written down, so let's hear it.
I have Corey as my winner and Taylor as my long shot.
Okay.
Christian as my winner, and then Tanner as my long shot.
All right. Wait, who did you say? So
Whom? Christian.
Christian and Tanner. Molly, who
Yeah.
did you say?
Said Corey as my winner and Taylor as my long shot.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go Sammy Smith as my winner, and long shot William Sawalich.
That's a good one though.
I've met William a couple times. So if you guys don't know, William Sawalich, he has an older sister who is dating Sam Mayer. So there was a photo that Sam and William are in together, and I think they were out somewhere in California, and they're like dressed in like suit attire. Like I'll have to go back and find you guys that picture if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, it's
I don't know.
funny.
I don't know why I never put two and two together.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's funny because I actually love Amelia, because there was one time that Molly and I saw her at Martinsville walking, and we said hi to her, and she said hey to us. Yeah, I don't know why I never put two and two together.
Yep. So
Never
yep.
did.
So
Now I know that.
There you go. Fun fact: they are related.
Never knew that.
So, for Xfinity, it is Josh. I was going to say, it's Josh Berry again in the 15 this week.
I have Jesse as my winner and Justin as my long shot.
Jesse and Justin?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I have good old Riley.
Okay.
And I have Sammy.
Okay.
Man, I'm really going for Sammy. Really, really like that.
I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Parker Kligerman. And Justin Allgaier, I guess. I guess we'll do that. We'll do that.
So we mean you both gonna have the same long shot?
Oh. Hold on. I'll change it then. I promise, like, I hear you the first time, but, like, my short-term memory, it goes in one ear out the other.
Bro, mine does too.
That's why I always ask multiple times, because I may have heard it, but that information did not retain in my head. Okay. All right, let me pick someone different. Gosh, I'm trying to think of people who. I feel like Justin's the only one that's actively running in Xfinity that's actually ran on the Indy Oval.
That is true. He's probably the only one. All the other ones were just wee little babies or weren't even born yet.
You know what? I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'll go Anthony Alfredo. How about that?
Okay.
Who did I say is my first?
You said Parker.
I said Parker. Okay.
Parker.
Okay. All right. There we go. Parker and Anthony. So for the Cup race. Oh gosh, I don't know who's. I can't remember who's won on the actual oval. Most of them.
The last person was Kevin Harvick in 2020.
Okay, yeah, so it's been a couple years.
I have Blaney as my winner, and then I have Zane as my long shot.
Really long shot. But okay.
Blaney's ran on that oval, and then Zane hasn't. Thing. So that means you never know.
Right. Hey, this one is a real guessing game because I have Noah as my winner, and then I have Todd as a long shot.
If it was the road course, I'd agree with you on Todd. He's gotten the top 3.
I mean, Zane did qualify in the top 10 at Pocono.
That is true.
And the tunnel turn is designed after Indy.
Look, it's a total gamble on the Cup boys because it's been a long time since they ran on it, so you never know. That and it's different cars. So that and half of the top 10 that Molly read off, half the people are no longer racing anymore. So
all right. I think I'll go Tyler Reddick. I'll go Ross Chastain. INDYCAR. Toronto. Who's going first?
I gotta flip over to my note. I have shoes. Where to go? Okay. I have Scott McLaughlin.
Okay.
And then Pato.
All right.
I have Joseph Newgarden and Christian Lundgaard.
Okay. I think I'll go. I think I'll go Scott Dixon and David Malukas. I think I'll do those two. All right, now for the Hungaroring.
I have Charles and Oscar.
Okay.
I have Lando and Oscar.
Okay. Let's go. I'm gonna go George Russell and Fernando Alonso.
Alrighty.
So, oh, right. You guys got anything else?
I don't think so.
Alrighty. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. However you enjoy our podcast. This has been the 23rd episode of the Trackside Girl podcast. Yes.
I got it. I got it.
Alrighty, let's do this outro, guys. It goes peace, love, and race cars.
We all did that entirely way too slow. We were all like,
Alright, good night, everybody.
good night.